Hi everyone, Tim Kitzer from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, and they're not. You're watching Big Rye and the Fat Guy. Fine, I'll say it. Boom shakalaka.
And I'm back from the crypt. What's up, YouTube? It's the NFL Picks Against the Spread for Week 5. Fat Guy. We are 35-27-2 for the year, good for 56%. On to the Week 5 picks. Who cares about all the rest? Thursday Night Football, Indianapolis Colts at the Denver Broncos. Broncos are 3.5-point favorites. 59% of early bettors are on the Broncos. Fat Guy, who you got?
Well, I certainly do look better in black and white, but we're going to be going with the Indianapolis Colts here. 3.5 points. I feel like it is a little bit of a large number here. That hook just seems large. Again, I don't have any mathematical basis to make this on, but there has been, we'll call it a minor shift here. Well, I guess not really. I don't know why I always, hammer home key numbers. It opened as 3, even on both sides, and now it's Indy plus 3.5. So at minus 113, no less. So it's like 3.3. So I understand that Jonathan Taylor is out. So this would be a very, very, and you can even do it. There are apps out there that'll let you see line history. When you see that Jonathan Taylor is out, and then you see the gap in win probability, the best way to measure this is a juiceless money line. So Jonathan Taylor is worth, the shift in money line from plus 150 maybe. I don't know when that came out, the injury news got put into the line plus 144, 142 to plus 153. It's not that much, you know what I mean? And that's supposed to be where we rank Jonathan Taylor.
He was ruled out he was ruled out only like an hour or two before we recorded this, and really the line has not moved at all. So it hasn't made much of a difference, but the one thing to consider is that there might have been information before that that took into account that he might not have been playing. So we don't know for sure if that's just that news came out and then the line didn't move. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to, it's got to be massaged in, I guess you could say.
Yeah, you can kind of speculate, though, in the gap, right? Because this is probably one of the lines that's more solid. Like plus 3, even on either side, that seems kind of right. So my whole thing, we're going to take Indy here. My whole thing is that running backs are overvalued, even one with the prowess of Jonathan Taylor. And I like the hook.
Hot take by Fat Guy. On to the Sunday early game, which is, I'm guessing, going to be a London game between the New York Giants and the Green Bay Packers. Packers are 7.5-point favorites at home, or at this neutral field, but the home, you know what I'm saying. 65% of early bettors are on the Packers on a neutral field. Fat Guy, who you got?
This seems, again, we're going to go with the hook. That'll be a common theme here. I'm even looking over, not that we have access to Circa, but they have it at, plus 8.5 right at the time of this recording, this midweek disaster. So line shopping, that should tell you everything. And 8, think of the gap between 7 and 8, right? Obviously, you'd have to do some work on the juice, but that this is another thing, too, when people say, I've heard this a bunch of times in the past couple weeks, is, oh, yeah, well, if it doesn't land on that specific number, like, say you get plus 7.5, you're offered plus 7.5 and plus 8.5, the same juice. Well, you only really realize it if it lands that number 8. How about money line then? Try and get a better money line then. That'll solve all your problems. It's just if you're taking dogs, you're going to have a lot higher variance. That being said, I kind of think this number is a little bit high, but it almost looks too good to be true. Kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs when it came out with a really low number with Indy. But again, I'm just cherry picking, not shocking, but unexpected results. You know what I mean? So I'm going to take the New York Giants. I'm going to take the 7.5 points. And I don't think this will be a bet in real life, but I do feel like this number is a little bit high, but it could be one of those cases of too good to be true. Contest pick, Giants plus 7.5.
On to the Sunday early games. We're going to start with Detroit at New England. New England 3.5-point favorites at home. 43% of early bettors, Fat Guy, are on the Pats. Who you got?
There's a little bit of ineptitude on the Lions side. The Lions defense isn't exactly stopping anything, but I still think that this Patriots by 3.5. Who are they starting? Is it it's not. It can't be Mac Jones. So is it Bailey Zappi or Brian Hoyer here? Either way, I still think that's pretty high. And if I don't think he's on IR. If they did start Mac Jones, that would be I think probably a mini disaster. Let's call it. It'd probably be hopeful. Let's say. So I really like the Lions here. I like the +3.5. I'm probably going to bet on them in real life. I haven't pulled the trigger yet. And this is usually not the best. You usually want to get an opening day lines. And I'll be honest, I missed a lot of them as I was playing poker on Sunday night. That being said here, 3.5 seems pretty good. It's 3 in a lot of spots. But again, Circa's got it 3.5 with heavy juice. I kind of like this hook. Give me the Lions and give me the points.
It's looking like Bailey Zapp and Garrett Gilbert are going to be the combination of quarterbacks playing for the Patriots. On to the next game, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Buffalo Bills. Bills 14.5-point favorites. 42% of early bettors are on the Buffalo Bills. Fat guy, who you got?
This is the biggest time. This is the biggest time. Can you remember? I really flubbed that opening. Can you remember when the Steelers were a bigger dog than this? Because I certainly can't.
In recent history, I can't. Other than maybe
Chiefs,
like a week 17, week 18 type of.
Oh yeah, like
week
a
16.
snafu.
Yeah, some game where they haven't. They're resting everybody. Yeah, something like that.
I don't even think a Charlie Batch game. I honestly don't think that's
probably not. But
that being said, it's one of those spots. It's kind of like when this reminds me of a game when the Steelers were playing the Pats and the Steelers were favored against the Pats, and it was a Tom Brady Patriots team. So like if you could take points, you just do it. And I understand this is a Kenny Pickett Pittsburgh Steelers team. 14.5. I'm going to take the Steelers. This is one of those plays though. Like I find the Bills very susceptible to losing outright, really. And I also find them more likely to cover a large spread. I am flirting with right now, after this show, with the Steelers money line. I know it's kind of outrageous, but think of it this way: it's unlikely. I don't think they're going to win this game, but you have a quarterback that's his ceiling isn't really factored in. Do you know what I mean? Especially if they take chances, right? With Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, you're only in it if you distribute his performance, the top end is super unlikely, obviously, but it's not that crazy because he just doesn't take the chances, right? Kenny Pickett, I feel does take more chances downfield, which is going to yield you a more likely of a positive result. And the Bills, they really chuck it more than any team, and I feel like that's susceptible to covering. I say this pretty much every week. Big spreads, but losing on money lines. And, I mean, I'm seeing some places 7-1, bet 99. Holy smokes. Which is hilarious because they have it at 14, not 14.5. It's just way off, right? Pinnacle's got it 633. So I mean, I'm probably gonna get down on Steelers at 7-1. And now, do I think that they're gonna win the game? Like I mentioned, no. But if they have a probability of 17, 18% of winning this game, that is plus money at 6-1 or better. So we're gonna be taking them in the spread contest, despite the contrary of Bills being able to crush spreads. But I'm in real life, I'm going to be possibly looking into a Steelers money line play.
Shout out to his second channel, Fat Guy Flirting. On to the next game, which is going to be the Miami Dolphins traveling to New York to take on the Jets, who are 3.5-point dogs at home. 20% of early bettors are on the Jets. Fat Guy, who you got?
We're going to be taking the JETS, Jets. I like the hook. This is a juiceless contest, so this hook's going to cost you anywhere from minus 115 to minus 120. I think minus 115 might be the best. Well, another website. I'm not going to plug it again, but you make mistakes. They should be paying me. Should be getting some big fat guy dollars for that. That being said, I'm going to take the Jets in a juiceless contest, and I think if I got the juice to come down a little bit, I'd be way more apt to be taking them in real life as well. Home divisional dogs, it's always should be a meaningless trope, but this is such a key number. I mean, I am going to seriously consider it. Just plus points.
On to the next game, which is the Atlanta Falcons at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 8-point favorites at home. 70% of early bettors are on the Bucs. Fat guy, this line seems a little bit high.
It does, but it's come down. It opened at 8.5. I mean, there are going to be some. I think there are some 8.5s out there, but it does feel like from a team that has been competing. And the other thing too is like the Bucs have been almost underwhelming. You know, like we haven't seen a really strong performance, full team performance from the Bucs, like a vintage one. So it's hard to say vintage when they're only like is this the second or the third year with Tom Brady? That's so bizarre to me to say out loud, considering how old that guy is. But there's even numbers like 9.5 out there too. It does seem high, but we're going to be taking Atlanta. We're going to be taking the points. It's over 7.5. Purely a contest pick. Not much else to say.
On to the next game, Seattle at New Orleans. New Orleans 6-point favorites at home. 37% of early bettors are on the Saints. Fat guy, do you believe in Seattle?
Wow, that's a loaded question there, Big Rye.
Yeah, forget about the Seattle stuff. Who you got?
We're gonna take New Orleans. We're gonna lay the 6 points. If you get 6 at a really nice, not like low juice, like even 6 at minus 103, 104. But you can get 5.5, and 5.5 is pretty good because 6 is a key number. I don't mind taking them at that. This is a purely a contest pick is going to be the 6, but I don't mind laying 5.5 here in real life if you are able to get that number, and it is just sprouted up in a couple other places at the moment. So I don't mind the Saints laying 5.5 against Seattle Seahawks at home.
Saints +6 right now at a book that we use, +110, which is quite interesting. On to the next game.
+110. There you go.
Houston at Jacksonville. Jacksonville, 7.5-point favorites at home. 70% of early bettors are on the Jags. I can't remember the last time the Jags were touchdown favorites.
Touchdown plus, Big Rye. That's a big hook. Yeah. Well, that being said, we're gonna take Houston. Houston is winless, but you know what I mean? Like, isn't it kind of like a fun winless team? Do you know what I mean? Like, no one expects anything from them, but they're competing every week, more or less. So, I can kind of get behind this, and I wouldn't mind watching this game too. A lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, this is so ugly," but we're definitely going to take them with the 7.5 points. That hook is not going to be available in too many places. Probably very high juice at the time of this recording. This is a juiceless contest. This is an easy choice, but if in the next day or two, if it does end up Jacksonville +7 or +7.5 at reasonable juice, even -110, I would be interested in putting a little couple shekels down on it. So it's going to be Houston +7.5 in a contest pick, but I'm not going to pay the high juice in real life.
Next up is Tennessee Titans at the Washington Commanders. Commanders +2.5. 18% of early bettors are on the Commanders. Fat guy, who you got?
We're going to be taking the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to lay the 2.5 points. I think this should be Tennessee -3. Commanders, I think this should close at Tennessee -3, -113. But 2.5, I feel like, is a really strong number to lay with Tennessee. I mean, I could be wrong, and there could be some sort of shift. I mean, it's held strong. Like the early betting public's not the term I want to use. The early betting populace doesn't seem to have shaken this line, but I do think it's not bad, especially at the -104. You can get that juice at Pinnacle. I don't mind that at all. So this is probably going to be a play in real life. I don't mind Tennessee -2.5 points.
On to the next game, Chicago at Minnesota. Minnesota -7.5. 82% of early bettors are on Minnesota at that -7.5. Fat guy, who you got?
Well, that is that is a pretty good line. 7.5 is very, very highly juiced on the Chicago side. So the true line, you could argue, is 7. 7 at what juice? I'm not exactly sure, but you could argue that it is 7. So if you were able to get +7.5 at reasonable juice, that would definitely be the way to go. Especially if you have, like, this is a really good segue into, say you have a pool and they like a spread pool and they have those outdated spreads. It's very, like, it's free hanging money. Like if it's right now it's minus 125 at Pinnacle, Chicago plus 7.5. And in juiceless contest, you'd be crazy to lay 7.5 with the Vikings. And of course, you're going to be one of those guys like around the water cooler, or if someone taps you on the back with a wrench, whatever vocation you have, they're going to be, on top of you if Minnesota wins by 10. But you have to look at it in the long term. If you can get, Chicago minus 125 at even in a contest, that's definitely the way to go. So that being said, this is a juiceless contest. We will take Chicago plus 7.5. And if the juice comes down, but not before closed, I'll be more inclined to possibly take them in real life.
And the Big Rye 5-star entertainment game of the week, the LA Chargers traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns, who are plus 2.5 points. At home, 54% of early bettors are on the Browns. Fat Guy, I've got this one circled on my calendar.
I do
Who
too.
You got?
And, you bet the number, not the team. And I wore all this gear for absolutely no reason, because we'll be taking the LA Chargers. I probably should have thought this out a little bit better, but maybe, you know what it is? It's like a red herring type thing. We want to keep retention. We want to say, is he going to pick Cleveland? Is he not? Well, I'm not. I'm going to take the LA Chargers. I'm going to lay the 2.5. I don't think that's a unreasonable number. This might be the equilibrium, though. This line hasn't really moved much. Just the juice is applied. So I guess you could say that. I mean, minus 2.5, minus 123. It's pretty close to 3. So you could argue that, but laying 2.5 points, I think I'm going to be taking the Chargers here, and I just want to watch this game.
On to the Sunday midday games. We'll start off with San Fran at Carolina. Carolina 6.5-point dogs at home. 21% of early bettors are on the Carolina Panthers. Fat Guy, who you got?
Well, considering that we do have a juiceless contest, and I am allowed to get the worst of it in this case, I'm going to take San Fran minus 6.5. There's a lot of 6s out there now, which is in real life, so don't lay 6.5 if you can. 6 being a key number. Also, too, this would be generally a very, very unfat guy-like pick in the past, and that's why I'm not laying money on it currently. I would usually take a dog here just cause, but like that type of contrarian thinking, I think a lot of the value of that has leached away over the years. And this would be one of those spots because, in the past I would just go, okay, public sentiment is going to be on San Francisco. They just had a highly publicized Monday night victory against the Super Bowl defending LA Rams in a divisional contest where they looked absolutely fantastic on both sides of the ball. That being said, Carolina couldn't look any worse. Therefore, Carolina, I think this line should be at 7. I'm surprised it came down to 6, but I'm not going to change my pick midstream. To quote Wag the Dog, don't change your horse midstream. I'm going to take San Fran minus 6.5 in a purely contest pick. I think this line should be at 7, but I definitely won't be betting on this in real life.
We'll fill in your midstream joke here. Fat Guy on to the next game.
Not
Dallas
even what it
Cowboys at the LA Rams. Rams minus 4.5 at home. 41% of early bettors are on the LA Rams as the home team. Fat Guy, who you got?
I just did this big thing about exposure and eyeballs and sentiment, and I'm going to take the LA Rams here. So wouldn't that be I still think this 4.5 is a good number, and I think because the number 6 is pretty devalued, although there's the dynamic to that is that's if you look at the law of large numbers and you group everything together, the frequency of 6 has gone up, but the Cowboys and the Rams don't really go for it. So you could argue that in this situation, 6 might not be that value. So, selling that half point or that 1 point between minus 4.5 and minus 5.5 might not carry any value in this spot, because when you sell a point, they usually charge you the same juice regardless. Whereas I think it should be kind of dynamic. But again, these are I don't have the math in front of me to prove one way or another. And you'll never have it from a frequency standpoint just because the sample isn't that big. It's not baseball. We don't play that. There aren't that many NFL games a year, and it's hard to, you have to use inferences more when you come to come to football. But anyways, I think minus 4.5. I think that's an okay number. I'd be okay laying Rams up to minus 5.5. But again, I'm probably not betting it. I will keep it open though. I'd like Rams -5 at a good price. And in the contest, Rams -4.5.
Fat guy, next up, the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles travel to Arizona in the Battle of the Birds. Cards +5.5. 47% of early bettors are on the Cardinals. Fat guy, who you got?
Well, we're going to go with the Eagles. We're going to go. That's so square, it feels like. That's a great number, though. I just went off about 5.5. And this is one that's more likely to. I just said about the dynamic 2 points. This is a team that both teams should be more likely to go for it, go for a 2-point conversion. Considering when you have the mobility of these two quarterbacks, I think the propensity to go for 2 should be a little bit higher. That being said, that should lend itself to 6 being a more valuable number. And Eagles by 6 could be equilibrium. So I really don't mind laying 5.5 here. I like the Eagles. I think they're a good team. I think they're good on both sides of the ball, but none of that really matters. The number matters. And Eagles -5.5 at even. So technically the contest is at +100. And so is in real life on Pinnacle at this moment of filming. And I'm probably going to jump on Eagles -5.5 at even because I could see it at close at Eagles -6 at -104, -105. So in the contest and probably in real life, Eagles -5.5.
On to the Sunday night game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are at home. They're 3-point favorites at home. 53% of early bettors are on the Ravens. Fat guy, this is one of those 4.9 star entertainment games. Not quite 5, but it's up there. Who you got?
I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm kind of curious about this money line, too. They opened at -194, but that was at a -3.5 point spread. And now it's down to 175. Kind of curious by it, but I'm probably not going to touch it. It's -3, -117. So in a juiceless contest, very easy. Choose the Ravens. This is probably equilibrium, so that's why I'm making that choice. I mean, 3 is just the perfect number. Divisional contest. This is just the way it goes. I don't see there's that much value against the spread on either side, but I'm kind of taking a look at the Ravens money line, but in the contest, we Ravens -3.
And on to the Monday night game between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs 7.5-point favorites at home. 78% of early bettors are on the Chiefs. Fat guy, who you got?
Well, 7.5 is a really good number. It would be hard to attain. It's -122 at Pinnacle at the moment. So in a juiceless contest, that's definitely where I would go. Raiders +7.5, especially if you have like I said, a pick'em spread at your work. Slinging those wrenches around, picking spreads. 7.5 is probably a good number at -122, assuming it closes near that. I don't know when you have to submit your picks. Either way, in the contest, I will be taking the Raiders +7.5. In terms of real life, I don't have that much inkling on it. I think that's probably about right. I think the juice is maybe a little bit high, but it'd be hard for me to lay the Kansas City Chiefs, even though +110 plus money is a little bit titillating. So in real life, I would consider laying this at the price point of +110, but that's about it. So in the contest, Raiders +7.5.
All right, fat guy. Lightning round. Indy at Denver.
Indianapolis.
The Giants at Green Bay.
Big Blue.
Detroit at New England.
Detroit Lions.
Pittsburgh at Buffalo.
Pittsburgh Steelers. Perhaps Pittsburgh to win.
Miami at the New York Jets.
JETS. Jets.
Atlanta at Tampa Bay.
Atlanta Falcons.
Seattle at New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Houston at Jacksonville.
The Texans.
Tennessee Titans at the Washington Commanders.
Titans by 3.
Bears Vikings.
Hey, we got the hook. 7.5 Bears.
5-star entertainment game. Chargers at the Browns.
And as Jimmy the Greek would say, my national compatriot, a field goal should do it. The LA Chargers. Not a lightning round.
San Fran at Carolina.
49ers. Bad line.
Dallas at the LA Rams.
LA Rams.
Philly, Arizona.
Eagles. Good line.
Cincinnati at Baltimore.
Equilibrium Ravens.
Raiders, Chiefs, Monday night.
Raiders +7.5 in the contest.
Hell yeah, brother. On to the Week 4 picks against the spread winner for this season. Josh Allen, 11-4-1. Good for 73%.
I like this guy.
He's a lone wolf up top here, Josh Allen. And we also have Lando, Wook Dog, shout out to CEO Eric Hayden, Fat Guy's best friend, Mike J, Blue Blood 93, Kev the Great, Unprotected Sacks, and Not Carnival Personnel. Everyone going 9 and 6 or better.
That's pretty good.
Good for 60% ATS. And then Fat Guy, the overall leaderboard. I'm not sure who was first last week. I haven't even checked to know. But this week,
picks.
AKA a Jive Turkey, is number 1 on the list. 38 wins, 24 losses, the 2 draws. Good for 61.3% against the spread. Also shout out to Money Mooney for being 60% above the spread. Shout out to CEO Eric Hayden for the awesome name. Also congratulations to Lando, Blue Blood, Shiv Picks, Detroit's Kneecaps, Kev the Great, Art 999. And the Fat Guy, you and I, we are still 35-27, good for 56.
All right.
We've fallen a bit back to you know,
Back to reality.
back to reality.
You're a music
we,
guy,
we knew
right?
this was going to happen. We definitely knew we weren't going to keep 70%
Aggression
against
through
the
dilution.
spread. Hell yeah, brother. On to the JS715 name of the week, the honorable mentions. Fat Guy, take it away.
This shirt Fat Guy sent me is now a crop top. Love it. Fat Guy clearly a dinosaur in the computer age. Love the black and white video feed. It's unbelievable how illiterate it comes. Big Rye has to hold my hand through every video related thing. There's certain math things I am capable of, but that's really it. Should have kept Flores. Maybe. Well, he wouldn't have this quarterback issue, possibly. One day the 16-leg parlay will hit and I will retire. Man, you must be betting big on parlays. Almost every September, the Phillies make me say, "Go Eagles." I don't know who Eagles is, but I did want to shout out the Phillies making the playoffs. Kind of a big deal. Trubisky's dong liquor. The Irish Candyman. Is he going to kill me in real life? Is he going to find me at my house in Los Angeles and kill me in real life? Big Rye skipped out to binge watch Dahmer. I hope not.
Yeah, Mickey was right.
This is the JS715 name of the week. Whoa, kaboom!
That guy gives me my name an honorable mention and then knocks it. Dak went under the knife, bro. See, we have a lesson here. It's about transparency. I totally forgot that that he did get spliced. So I have to admit wrong. So this is the name of the week because I made an error and I commented on something and I was wrong about it. So transparency, truth. I don't want to lie. I made a mistake. You get name of the week for pointing out my shortcomings, fat comings, whatever. Fat drippings.
Make
that'd be
your
way better.
picks. Fat drippings is all of those were great. Fat Cummings was good too for different reasons. Make your picks against the spread for week 5 at BigRyanTheFatGuy.com. It will actually work this week because I am here. Also, thank you to our channel members. You guys can see everybody there. We really appreciate your support. If you're interested in supporting Big Ryan the Fat Guy, I think it's $5 a month for the channel membership. We also have a Discord included where you can talk to Fat Guy and I directly. Fat Guy, that's it. That's the week 5 picks against the spread. It's like we're already hitting week 5 and it's already starting to become like it's getting harder to find that value. Like there's nothing that's
formulaic.
Like there's nothing here
like,
where
I'm
I'm like I love this.
The jump out to me is I saw plus 700 for Pittsburgh Steelers to win a game that I really don't think they're going to win. Like that's not
you know,
not
maybe
rock
plus, you know, plus 585, like somewhere around that range is realistic. We're talking about micro hair edges.
And there's another thing. This is a big illusion. The gap between plus 700 and plus 585 is not this enormous thing that you think it is. It's, I mean, I could probably bring the number up here. I bet you it's 2%. You know what I mean? Which is huge, but it's not this like, oh, I'm gonna bust the world edge. And you have to hit it too, by the way, which is that's for another debate.
So like, comment, subscribe, become a member, all that juicy stuff. But Fat Guy and I appreciate you guys watching to the end, and good luck for your picks in week 5.